Hello, welcome to this update for the tropical Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific. So we now have Tropical Depression 13, got designated like a few hours ago, and Hurricane Kirk now. So let's see, there's still this area at 40% chance in the Gulf there. Environmental conditions could support some gradual development of the system. Tropical depression could form over the weekend as the broader disturbance moves fully into the Gulf of Mexico. So just be aware if you are there, but this may be a rainmaker for Florida. No big hurricane threat or anything. Maybe just a weak tropical storm or just a rainmaker. So let's see. Here's Kirk, expected to be a major hurricane still, and move out into the Atlantic there. Might affect Europe later, so if you are there, stay tuned to the Europe videos. So let's see, but no big threat for the Caribbean or anything. But let's see, there's also Tropical Depression 13 that just formed now, also expected to become a hurricane and curve north there. So for now, it's not a threat to the Caribbean, but there were some models like the European taking this a little bit closer, but not close enough. So we'll have to watch this, but no big threat for now. So here there's Kirk, and most members and models take this generally northeast towards Europe, and generally towards like the British Isles. So most models are trending towards like the British Isles. So if you are there, might be a good idea to watch out for this. Some Canadian ensembles and members take this generally towards there and to the North Atlantic, so be aware. The intensity guidance is a category 1 now, still expected to be a category 3 or even a 4, so but that's just out in the Atlantic, far away from anyone. So be aware. There's now Tropical Depression 13, a lot of convection already, and let's see. Most models take this generally northwestward for now, northwestward. Some models take it closer to the Caribbean, like I showed you there. So like 3 models take this into the Caribbean, but all the rest just curves the north. You'll most likely do that black path there and just go north into the Atlantic, but might wanna keep a watch at this in the Caribbean. The intensity guidance is like a tropical storm, and then you will get to a category 1 by like 48 hours or something, and then likely a category 2 as well. You might get to category 3. One model shows almost to category 5, but that's just one model. You will likely be at a category 1 or category 2. So we'll watch for this very closely. And now there's the actual models. The GFS shows Kirk there. It goes out into the Atlantic. As you can see, it starts going north, becoming extra tropical towards Europe, but still a big rainmaker for Europe later. And there's the next system after Kirk, just curving out into the Atlantic. So it might catch on to the tail of those fronts towards Europe as well. So yeah, but according to this model, no threat for the Caribbean. And it tries to form something in the Gulf there, but mainly just rainstorms towards Florida and the Bahamas by October 7th. So Monday, October 7th might be a good idea to watch out for some heavy rainstorms near Florida and the northern Bahamas. All the way into like Thursday, the 10th, might still be some heavy rain there. The GFS does try to consolidate something on the southwestern Gulf, so better watch. There's the European as well. It shows Kirk there, keeps going, and lastly the next system, and then the European strengthens Kirk all the way to 939, like a very strong hurricane. This will be almost to category 5 this is the European model, so that's new. But let's see, then it takes it towards Europe, and some rain and gusty winds towards like October 10th towards Europe, so better watch. And then there's the new system just goes out into the Atlantic there, so no threat for the Caribbean. But it's also showing that system trying to organize in the Gulf and heavy rain to Florida there, so better watch out there. And let's see, there's the icon too. It does show, let's see, Kirk there and Tropical Depression 13, and then Kirk goes. Uh, let's see if this works. It keeps going there, very strong. That's like a category 4 or something. And there's Leslie. It keeps like going northwest, but no threat for the Caribbean either. It might just curve north there. But the icon has the thing trying to organize in the Gulf. That will be like almost a tropical depression there. Then will bring those heavy rains to Florida and the Bahamas. So bear watch. And there's the Canadian model as well. It does show like Kirk there, and it keeps going. There's Leslie. The Canadian takes it a little bit further south, like, but eventually curves north too. So it's not showing going towards the Caribbean. It eventually curves north as well. But there goes Kirk. So the Canadian takes it towards like Spain, France, and Portugal. The other models were taking Kirk towards the UK. So we'll watch that. And it does form something on the Eastern Pacific there, towards like Mexico and the Baja, but mainly like near Western Mexico, and the heavy rain Florida and the Bahamas from that system. So be aware. Let's see if the European forms something on the Eastern Pacific. So there's the system there now, and then it does try to form, but not really. There's the GFS. So if you go further out in time, does try to consolidate something, but eventually dies near Western Mexico. So be aware there, but nothing that crazy. But still we have like Tropical Depression 11E there on the Eastern Pacific. So, and nothing else in the next 7 days, according to this. And then there's it there now. So the depression is forecast to become a tropical storm before it reaches the coast of southern southeastern Mexico. That should be like southwestern Mexico or something. But a tropical storm warning remains in effect for parts of southern coastal Mexico. Tropical depression level E will likely bring heavy rain to parts of southern Mexico and Guatemala this week. Flooding, mudslides, especially in areas of steep terrain are possible, especially from western Guatemala to the Mexican states of Chiapas, Oaxaca, Veracruz, Tabasco, and coastal Guerrero. So please be careful for there. Some tropical storm force winds probabilities there, and no hurricane or anything, just tropical storm force winds. They say that this will turn into a tropical storm there and likely going to Mexico. There, the tropical storm warning is there, where those tropical storm winds are affecting and will affect. So please be careful there. And the rainfall potential still shows more than 100-200 millimeters in parts of Mexico near the Gulf, southern Veracruz as well, and like near Chiapas and northern like western Guatemala there. So be careful, more than 100-200 millimeters in those areas. So please stay safe there. So let's just see some ensembles here from the Europeans. So it mainly takes that system out to sea there, and the Europeans really crazy with that strength, really showing like category 4, category 5. So better keep an eye on that. And then there's the next system. It curves it north a little closer to the Caribbean. One member takes it to the Caribbean, but that's just like one member. Most of them take it out into the Atlantic. And there's the system, the Gulf, a lot of support, but for something weak, likely just a tropical depression or even less, likely a disorganized disturbance with heavy rain there. So be aware. And the GFS, it takes it everything out into the Atlantic, like nothing close to the Caribbean, but it does form a random system there, but that's just one member, so don't pay attention to that. And then it has some support in the Gulf, but for something like very weak, maybe not even a depression, and some mass stuff in the middle of the Atlantic. So we'll keep watching this, but be aware there. Something interesting to show as well is the Canadian ensembles. So let's see here. So does show Kirk there and Leslie. They keep going. The Canadian ensembles take Leslie a little bit closer to the Caribbean. Half of the members miss the Caribbean, and the other half of the ensembles go into the Caribbean from the Canadian. So the Canadians really take this close there. Better watch. But you likely just curve out and then takes the rest there, and nothing significant later. But in the Gulf, does show some signals for something very weak and crossing Florida there, but like very weak, like almost just a disturbance. So we'll keep watching there, but nothing that concerning at this time. So let's see. There's still some dry air in the northern Gulf, but there's a lot of moisture on the Eastern Pacific and those areas, and it shows more moisture getting together there on the Gulf, but still some like dry air in the Atlantic. But Kirk and Leslie generally survive that dry air and go out to the Atlantic there. And let's see, there's the wind shear here, so does show now some wind shear in the Gulf, but as the disturbance goes there, does show a little bit weaker wind shear in the Gulf, like just the northern Gulf more wind shear, but it does show a little bit weaker. And this like here, so by like Monday, when this might affect, does show some weaker wind shear, but some high wind shear in the northern Gulf. And then the Atlantic, there's Kirk, that bigger one, and then Leslie behind it, and then they keep going. Kirk survives. There might be some outflow. There might be a stronger wind shear in the North Atlantic there, but where those systems are at is generally fine. So be aware in those areas. And now the tropical cyclone activity probabilities, like tropical storm strength, shows Kirk and Leslie there, the high probabilities, and that shows some weak probabilities there in the Gulf, but mainly in Mexico, where tropical depression 11 is at. So shows by October 7th some 30% tropical storm probabilities in the Gulf, and by October 8th, so like 40%, even goes to a 50% tropical storm probability in the Gulf. So better watch those probabilities, and those systems just go out there into the Atlantic, might approach the Caribbean, but most members just take it to the Atlantic. So there's tropical depression probability, so there's Kirk and Leslie, and then the system the Pacific, and there I have some like 100% tropical depression in the Gulf, but there's nothing there now, so just ignore that for now. But this keeps going, like grows to like a 70% tropical depression probabilities and crosses Florida there. So gotta watch, and then does show another system like a 70% but by the 10th coming off of Africa, but the models aren't showing anything crazy with that, so we'll just watch that, but nothing crazy for now. So let's see some rainfall here for the Caribbean. So it does show in Mexico and Central America still like more than 200, 300 millimeters. The European has all the way to 300 millimeters, parts of southern Mexico. So please stay safe there. Might be flooding, landslides, and everything. But further south, southernmost Mexico, some 70, 50 millimeters. Not as crazy, but there will still be some heavier showers and storms. Into Guatemala, some more, like 80 millimeters in Guatemala, 70, close to 100 millimeters in the Pacific, Guatemala. So be careful in Guatemala, some heavier storms, like the Pacific of Mexico, where this storm like might make landfall, show like more than 165 millimeters. So be careful there as well. Some flooding, some heavy rain, and show like Nicaragua there, a little bit less, but still some showers. Honduras might be some storms in El Salvador, and Costa Rica and Panama still some storms from time to time. Some showers in the Caribbean, maybe a storm or two, and shows like Puerto Rico and Hispaniola some more storms from time to time. And then later, let's see here. So from from this system crossing Florida, the European model array has more than 10 inches, parts of western Florida, some 9 inches, 8 inches, has some 5 inches near Tampa, like in eastern Florida, some 8 inches, and 9, let's say near Cape Coral, so like 10 inches. So be aware, those areas a lot of rain, all the way to 5 inches in northeastern Florida. So be aware, northern Bahamas some 5 inches, that's close to like 100 millimeters, 150 millimeters. This is until October 11th, so there's still a week or more, but most of these will come on Monday, like October 7th. So it shows here like October 6th, still nothing. And by the end of October 7th, this starts getting close, but not really yet. By October 9th, this like starts crossing Florida on October 8th. Actually starts crossing October 7th, but the worst crosses by October 9th. It shows until October 10th, close to 10 inches there. So please be careful. There's the GFS. The GFS is like further south, has more than 6 inches in Cuba, like 8 inches in Miami, and some 6 inches like in the Bahamas there. So it has a little bit further south, and the icon has like more like the European, like 7 inches, 8 inches, southwestern Florida, those areas there. So be careful in those areas, and let's see millimeters here. So until October 11th, it shows like 300 millimeters close there in Florida, 147 in the Bahamas, 144 millimeters the Bahamas, and it has all the way to like 300 millimeters in the central Bahamas there, and it has like in Cuba 168 millimeters, 188 millimeters, all of that between the 7th and the 11th of October. So be careful there, and please be aware. There's the European too, shows, wait, so shows there in the Bahamas like 132 millimeters, more than 200 in Florida, and shows like close to 100 in western Cuba. So please be careful in those areas. So we'll we will check some other rainfall models at the severe weather video, but be aware there. And let's just see here the wind gusts from the European. There are some gusty winds near Veracruz in Mexico, where the storm might make landfall, will make landfall, and show like some cities southern Mexico might get some gusty winds, but not anything crazy, but shows a little bit stronger winds scraping the coast there. And let's see, but in the Gulf it shows some higher winds, and then this keeps going, like by Monday the 7th shows a broad disturbance there, some higher winds around the Gulf, and eventually this crosses Florida, the Bahamas by like the 9th, with some close to 62 km/h gusts in the Bahamas and stronger parts of Florida. So be aware, those areas, there are the strong hurricanes out there, might bring some gusty winds in the Azores by like October 8th there, and then eventually towards Europe. so be aware. And now we do have some showers near the Caribbean now, like in Barbados. We have a thunderstorm there now, and some lingering showers. So just be aware of like lingering showers and storms. Jamaica, there are some heavier showers now, and in the Cayman Islands, some storms because of that disturbance. So stay safe there in Mexico and the other areas. So let's see. Bye.